Alright. Alright, fine. Thank you very much to Fairplay for sending me a review copy of Fallen Knight. You were really nice over email, and I'm sorry for what I'm about to do to this game. Hello, everybody. Did I say that already? Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Bennett Does Games, the only show on the internet. And today I am playing Fallen Knight. Now, the first thing you might be noticing is that this game is in German right now. Why is it in German? Because it's one of those games that takes your Windows settings instead of your Steam settings when it comes to language. So I was like, okay, no big deal. Usually games just put it in the options and you can switch it to English or whatever language you prefer that day. And everything's good. So I looked at the screen for a while and I didn't know where the options were. And the reason for that is that they're up here under Schauplatz, which is the German word for location where something takes place, or a setting, if you will. That took a little bit of brain stretching to figure out. And here back to main menu isn't translated at all. And credits is translated as account balance. Basically what I'm trying to tell you is the localization is weak. Mistakes like that mean that nobody playtested it in that language. I don't blame the translators at all. I've been there. I've made silly mistakes because a lot of the time indie games don't have the budget for linguistic playtesting. However, put some effort in. In the future, put some notes for context next to single word strings, because if it just says setting, if it's not even settings, if it just says setting, then it's normal for translators to get confused. I also took a quick look at the Spanish translation, and I noticed some issues here and there too, though from what I could see, there was nothing like Schauplatz, where I literally did not understand what you were trying to tell me. Okay, let's get into the game. You see here, I have two save files, one on normal and one on casual. And even though it says here that I played it for 36 minutes and 4.5 minutes respectively, I've played this game for 2.5 hours, for almost 3 hours by now. And you'll see in a moment why that progress wasn't saved. So let's not do casual. Let's do normal. Yes. Okay. I don't want to play the tutorial. Tutorial explains everything to you that you're going to need. And a bunch of stuff that the game doesn't want you to use. So that's good. So here we are. There's a story. It's not interesting to me personally, but if you care, there's a reason why you run around and jump and slash enemies. Or better yet, you don't slash enemies, but we'll get to that. So, instantly, the first thing you'll notice is, okay, this is kind of nice and colorful. Everything's a little, maybe, low quality. But there's like this little Let's Rock on that girder there. That's a cute little detail. You can jump. It has some nice satisfying sparks. You can jump and slash. Your character has a nice little scarf that flows in the wind. Well, that just animates when you walk. And all of that is kind of nice. But you may be wondering why I put a controller into the center of the screen, into the bottom center of the screen. And that's to demonstrate the biggest problem with this game. I walk to the left, I let go. I walk to the right, I let go. And the character just keeps going. Because Lancelot insists on finishing his walk cycle every time you let go of the button. Which is horrible. That is the worst, floatiest garbage imaginable. Terrible. Oh! Pop filter. Oh no, now it's going to just keep falling. So what's the goal of the game? The goal of the game is to get through each level and defeat a boss at the end. Ow. And while you do that, you have to disarm as many enemies as you can, which is done by standing in front of them and waiting for them to do a melee attack. And now that I've played this game for 3 hours, I'm actually getting kind of good at it. But let me tell you, oh my god, I hate it when they do that. So, enemies cheat. They will wind up an attack and then flip to the opposite direction. They will turn as much as a character in a 2D video game can between wind up and swing just to get a hit on you. There's no... Oh, okay, this guy? Yeah, alright, I like this guy. So you can run on walls, like I said, you can double... Well, I didn't say that you can run on walls before. Well, you can double jump, you can dash, you have a wall climb, you can... Whoa! Okay. You can cling to walls and uselessly swing your sword at the air. You can parry bullets with your sword, that's fine too. Problem is... Ow. If I just kill this guy, you may have noticed that the 400 in the top left corner didn't go up at all. And that's because that's your honor, I guess? Ow. And you only get honor when you parry enemies. Killing them does nothing for you. It doesn't give you a dishonor score for a different character build because you'll use these honor points to level up. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't give you a small amount of honor for defeating an enemy in combat. It just does nothing for you. Absolutely nothing. Which then means the optimal way to play this game is to stand in front of every enemy you encounter and parry them. And then use the energy you gain to restore 1 or 2 pips with this incredibly slow healing animation. Now if I parry this guy over here... Alright, you're really not helping my case that enemies cheat, man. Oops, alright. Well, lucky for us, parry and attack is the same button, so you will accidentally kill enemies. So problem with the healing, you can only do it while you're standing still. Well, of course, that makes sense. It would be really overpowered if you could run around and heal at the same time. Problem is, if I walk and then let go to heal, and then nothing happens because my character kept walking. So you have to walk, let go, and then hope that you don't fall off a cliff into another enemy. This is just unacceptably terrible. It's just so unresponsive and therefore just not fun to play. And every time you respawn at this checkpoint, you start the game out on top of the world and you can look outside and then you fall back into the level like nothing happened. It's I want to say it's magical, but you know, not the good kind of magic, like the I don't want to offend anybody by calling their magic evil, but you know what I mean. So keep going, there's a checkpoint. Alright, parry an enemy. I got 600 points by now. You'll need 200 points to unlock the double jump. 200. You'll need 2,000 points to unlock the double jump, 2,000 points to unlock the air dash. And you might be wondering, what do I mean unlock? I could already double jump and air dash. Well, this is one of those games that decides to make your character as powerful as they'll be in the very beginning of the game, and then take all of your abilities away. Now, this has been done well in the past, and Metroid, for example, is famous for it, where the character starts off incredibly strong and capable, and then becomes weakened through an event, usually during a cutscene. And this game is no different. After you defeat the first boss, all of your abilities are reset. And since your character isn't particularly powerful in his current form, the fact that he'll get weaker is really disheartening, especially once you already know. Now, why am I just carelessly running around and letting enemies hit me, you may ask? Well, that's because I need to show you something very important. And that's the fact that some checkpoints will drop you into eternal nothingness. And so those 700 points that I collected, yeah, I'm going to lose them. Because I can't start to, like, return to menu. I can't move, obviously. I can't do anything. I can't press escape to open a menu. I literally have to Alt F4 out of the game entirely. Here you can see 2.9 hours in this game, and I've barely managed to get past the first level. I just barely managed to do that twice in that time. Now, I'm not gonna annoy you with the first level again. You've seen it. You've seen it now. There's a boss at the end. It is the best of the bosses that I've fought so far, which doesn't really mean much. So let's just try this one because this level has an interesting gimmick to it. Gimmick for this level is that there's a sniper who is presumably the boss of this stage who will start shooting at you pretty much any second now. And that's a neat gimmick. I don't think I've seen that in any other game, really, where a boss uses their specialty to hinder you right off the bat, right before the battle even starts, which for a sniper makes perfect sense. They wouldn't want to wait for a dude with a sword to walk up with them if they have the range advantage. Oh my god. So you may also have noticed that I don't care to fight enemies, and the reason why I don't care to fight enemies is because it's a complete mess. If I just kill them with the sword, it's a waste of time and nothing happens. If I stand still to parry them, the sniper is going to shoot me in the meantime, and I ran off the cliff. I don't know how much of that was my fault. And so I just kind of sprint through it and hope that I'll have a chance to heal every now and again. The heal on the base level without any upgrades is incredibly slow, which, yes, obviously it has to take some time to ensure that it's not abusable in boss fights, that you actually have to wait for the right time after an attack whiffed or immediately after you were hit by a strong attack while the boss is winding down. That's all fine. Also, I love that enemies just pop out of existence the second they're halfway off screen. But now all right. So sometimes you get lucky and you manage to... Oh, yeah, welcome to hell. Those kinds of encounters are what annoy me the most. You're supposed to parry enemies, but the way they're set up makes it basically impossible because the time it takes for you to stand in front of one guy and wait for them to punch you is more than enough time for every other enemy on screen to shoot you. And the only way to deflect those bullets is to attack, which means you're either going to kill the unit you're trying to counter, or you're going to hit them early, which whiffs your counter, and you take damage from their counterpunch to your counter. It's a counter punch. Now, oh yeah. So this is another one of those levels where you just lose all of your progress if you die towards the end, or maybe halfway through. I have no idea how long this level is, because at some point I always get killed because the character is just so incredibly clunky to move, because there's so many enemies just spamming projectiles at you that there's no real way to reliably get through it without taking damage that doesn't just involve killing everybody. Now, why is it even such a big problem if you have to just kill everybody? Who cares about the ranking at the end of the mission? And that's exactly the problem that it all comes back to. You have to buy back all of the abilities that you started the game with. In the shop, you can see that, yeah, upgrading your HP by 1 only costs 500 points, but double jump, air dash costs 2,000, double heal, all of the good stuff costs significantly more. And I see here chain disarm, which I think you can only get by disarming a certain boss, Nikolai. And disarming bosses is an entirely different story, because you'll have to block every single hit of an entire combo for you to even have the chance to get a disarm, and you have to do that 3 times on every boss. Now, the fact that it's this incredibly annoying to get points, the fact that you get points by disarming enemies and by making it through a level with a good rating, just means that the only way to play this game efficiently is to walk up to every single enemy and wait for them to attack you, and then counter them. And that just gets really boring really fast, because most enemies have the exact same... Most enemies have the exact same melee attack animation. They just punch you, and that's it. And that's not exciting. If there's multiple enemies in your game, it would be a lot more fun if I could defeat them in different ways. Instead, I just have to do the exact same thing to every single one of them, and that thing is not hitting them with a sword. What's the point of even giving me a sword then? Now, there is a second playable character who is a lot more entertaining, if you will. Just because you don't disarm enemies, oh, geez, I didn't know he had a sword beam. All right. You don't disarm enemies, you assassinate them. And it's like, oh, that sounds cool. And you restore health by assassinating people. Unfortunately, the way you assassinate enemies is by parrying them and then counterattacking. So basically, you're doing the exact same thing that you did with Lancelot, except this character doesn't have a heal. Oh my god. So, something fun that he does have are these little teleport knives. You throw them at enemies, and then you teleport behind that enemy and kill them. This is great. You can't use them in the air, which, you know, fair enough. Maybe that's a little overpowered. You can't use them while moving. As you can see here, this is me mashing the knife button. He's thinking about it. He's thinking about it for just a frame. And most annoyingly, you can't... Most annoyingly, it has the exact same problem as the heal, where if you walk and then there's an enemy and you press the button, your character's just going to walk off the ledge and not throw the knife because they haven't come to a full stop yet. Why would you design a 2D action platformer like that? A game where all you have to do right, all you had to get right was the controls. That's the only thing that you needed to do for your game to be inherently kind of fun. Because this character is a lot more fun to flip around with, and this power-up that I randomly got that allows me to shoot laser beams is pretty neat. I like it. So, what even is the problem then if there's a second character in the game that is just a lot more fun to play? Well, there's obviously still the problem that he controls exactly the same as Lancelot. The one difference being that he has the double jump and air dash equipped at all times, which is nice. Oh my god, and the knife just flew through him. It is unacceptable for a game like this to make the player mash an important button for it to do anything. The fact that I wanted to teleport behind an enemy and attack them from behind, and I couldn't do it because the button wouldn't respond, and that led to me getting hit, completely kills any chances this game would have ever had at being enjoyable to people who like to perfect these kinds of action combat platformers. The game that it reminds me the most of is Beautiful Joe, except taking away all the responsiveness, creativity, the amazing writing. I forgot that this character can't heal, so yeah, that's fun. Oh, alright, well I guess I just restart from the last checkpoint, right? Except I can't. So they added a second character who still controls like absolute garbage. Who still controls like a garbage truck on a frozen lake. But at least he's a lot cooler. Assassinating enemies is a lot more fun than disarming them. especially considering that disarming them is the only thing you're allowed to do. But luckily I got an S rank, so that's good. I mean, I guess I'm one of the best Fallen Knight players in the world. This character has permadeath, and I'm not gonna play that. Your game is terrible enough as it is. I am not going to go through the trouble of playing through this game multiple times all the way to almost the end, if I ever happen to get good at it, just to die and have to start over, especially considering that in some levels, I could do the lava level, but just believe me, you walk into the lava and it's the worst. But in some levels, you will just die and it's not your fault. It won't be your fault because your character refuses to do anything until the current walk cycle has completed. They just keep going. And it's not like in Sonic where your character has picked up so much momentum that you're like, okay, it's fair that you need to that you need a second to come to a full stop. No, this is like playing as Luigi if Luigi also refused to read inputs ever. That was a weird simile. You're slippy slidey is what I'm saying. It's stupid. It's terrible. Oh my gosh. So again, the best way to play this game would be to walk up to every single one of these enemies, parry them, and then move on to the next one. Unfortunately, that's not fun. I personally don't find it fun to slowly walk up to every single enemy I encounter and wait for them to hit me. That is a mechanic I expect from I Am Jesus. I don't expect it from a 2D action platformer. I really hope I have a chance to review that game when it comes out. Anyway, so you may have noticed that this level is really flat and incredibly boring. And you would be right. It is really flat and incredibly boring. Here comes a little bit of a diversion in the form of a helicopter, which is actually really nice because it's one of the only enemies in the game that you're supposed to hit with a sword. Which is... oh my god, I hate this. Enemies, too, are so fast to attack that it is often impossible to tell when they're actually going to hit you. You're just going to have to learn it. You're just going to have to learn the weird delays and the weird frame skips on every single enemy, which is fine because that's how video games work. Also, this helicopter can teleport. That's fine, sure, but I just don't find that particularly fair. I'm sure if I went through it frame by frame, some of the enemy attack times would be way too fast to be considered fair or even feasible for most players. Now, I do feel obligated to offer at least some kind of advice on how to fix Lancelot's gameplay. And obviously, just like Lancelot and Galahad, you just have to fix the controls. If I stop pressing to the left, my character has to stop walking instantly. I don't care that they skip to a different animation. That's how games have done it forever. And the reason for that is because being responsive is more important than looking smooth. You probably have noticed that every single 2D action game that ever existed, every single fighting game, every single Beautiful Joe-like game, every single Mega Man, the character just stops. They just stop right away instead of half a second later. So you have to fix that. Once you fix that, the game becomes playable. Once you fix that, the game is okay, you tried, it didn't work. Obviously, you have to fix the checkpoints. The fact that this is the only level that I have played that does not have a checkpoint that soft locks you, or even hard locks you, is unacceptable. There should be no broken checkpoints. Some games, like games by Bethesda, have the excuse of, well, the player could have saved anywhere. There's no way for us to prepare for every single spot on the map. In this game, there's 2 checkpoints per level from what I can tell. It's not hard to make sure that those 2 checkpoints work. It should just be a couple of numbers that you have to adjust somewhere. Hello, Hanban, what's up?
Hi!
Hi.
I'm hungry.
Oh, what do you want to eat today?
I'm gonna have some mini corn dogs.
Ooh, are we gonna do strawberry pancakes at some point?
Yes!
Yes, nice.
Also, they're vegetarian corn dogs.
Oh, good. Yeah.
I don't
Anyway.
want your viewers to think I'm a terrible human.
Oh, you're not. You're not. Don't worry.
Where are the mini? There.
Anyway.
Sorry to interrupt.
It's okay, nobody cares. Hey, if you've watched this far, make sure to leave a comment saying, "Hi, Crash, my favorite color is blank." If you pick pink, I'm going to send you a free Steam key of a random game that I have a duplicate of on Humble Bundle. Yep. That's a promise. If you watch this far, leave that comment with like your Twitter with your Twitter handle, and I'll do that. Tell Crash that your favorite color is pink. All right. I've been looking for a way to get rid of those like 200 duplicates forever.
Right.
How
many of the Spenacopita are mine?
What?
How many of the Spenacopita are mine?
All of them?
Oh, okay, great.
Where was I? So yeah, fix the checkpoints. There's no excuse for checkpoints that's broken. Checkpoints have been around forever, and all it is an X and a Y coordinate, maybe a Z coordinate. I don't know how your engine works. It's not that hard. And finally, find the way to make it so that players are actually allowed to hit the enemy with swords. Because you've seen, I've killed a couple of enemies on this level so far, and I have gained 0 points for it. And those aren't just haha style points. Those are, you unlock crucial abilities like a double jump with them points. I can't get this health power up because I don't have a double jump. Ow. Jesus. And that is just infuriating. Now, how do you fix that? And I thought about this for a while. And legitimately, my sincere recommendation for how to add an honor system to this game without neutering the player's ability to just jump and slash enemies is to literally give Lancelot a gun. And I'm like not kidding. He has a free hand, give him a gun, give him a blaster, and make it so that everybody knows, hey, you know what? Killing enemies with a blaster, that's cowardly. That's not very chivalrous of you. But killing enemies with a sword, now that's how you do it. And the reason I'm thinking that is because parrying and disarming is the least fun way to defeat anything in this game. Yes, it's kind of rewarding to actually disarm an enemy, but the fact that you have to wait so long for them to just wind up a physical attack, a melee attack, is just infuriating. It's just so boring. And then there's the same issue with bosses where, oh well, it doesn't really matter. The same issue with bosses where you have to block 3 of their specific combos in their entirety to disarm that boss. And how do you get them to perform that combo? Can you taunt them in some way to make them fly into a fit of rage? That would be cool. No. What you should do is run into the top right corner of the level and maybe jump every now and again and just stay hidden. Just stay out of the way. Wait for them to wind up the combo, then go down and parry it. And that takes forever. I have not managed to have a boss fight last long enough to actually disarm them without just actually going out of my way to not fight them at all. And that's just so dull. Imagine if every single boss fight in Metal Gear Solid 3 was the end, where the solution is to turn off the console for 2 weeks and walk away. Because what I'm doing right now isn't playing the game. I'm specifically avoiding the game. I'm just avoiding his enemy until he winds up his special combo attack. And until he does so, oh my god, I hate it when they do that. And until he does so, I don't have anything to do. Okay, let's go. Oh no, he didn't come close enough to me. And as you see here, I blocked 2 of his strikes and it did literally nothing. It did nothing. And that is just so annoying. Give the character a gun and make the sword incapacitate enemies instead of killing them, and award honor points for that. Otherwise, this game is just an incredibly boring counterattack simulator where you walk from enemy to enemy and wait for them to hit you. It's dull, it's broken, it's unresponsive. Checkpoints kill you out of nowhere, and I'm gonna try to cover for time until I get to the part that I actually wanted to show off that symbolizes this entire game, but I unfortunately completely forgot to do so before. Now, something that was incredibly fun to learn was that, and fun quotation marks, was that when I decided to go back to the first level to earn some more points so I can buy the double jump so I can get the power-ups in some of the levels, for example in the train level, I realized that now I have to play the exact same level but without any of the upgrades that I had at the start of the game. That makes sense, in the story your suit is damaged while you're escaping from this facility, and that's fine, I guess. But but the fact that I even had to go and grind for upgrade points in a 2D action platformer is absurd. And this is just a little thing I wanted to show you. It's not a big problem. It's just 1 pixel too... It's just a gap that is just 1 pixel too thick for what they were trying to do here. Just combining these walls. But the game is literally coming apart at its seams. Me standing on top of the level, jumping outside of it, and just looking at the small gap in the wall where the game threatens to just rip apart as soon as somebody pulls a little too hard. That pretty much sums up my entire experience with this game that I could not decide whether to call Pitiful Joe or Shovelware Knight. I cannot recommend this game. I like the aesthetic, I like the music. I cannot recommend this game to anyone. The controls are way too floaty. The levels are way too broken. The disarm mechanic is incredibly restrictive and does not allow players to fight enemies in a creative way or even in a smart way at all. All you can do is dash into somebody's face and wait for them to hit you. It's just a mess. It's a mess technically. It's a mess in terms of design. And overall, I just feel bad for the artists and the musicians who are involved in this project because they could have spent their time on something better. I'm sincerely willing to play this game again, maybe a year from now, and see if it has improved at all. I'll keep an eye on it. And if the game becomes better, if the controls are fixed and I don't slide around anymore, then the game becomes playable. If they change the way scoring works, then fighting enemies might become enjoyable. But as it is, this is just... This is the game, everybody. This is the game. Oh my god. Even in the air, he slides. I thought it was tied to his walk cycle. But he's not even walking right now. That's amazing. Ow. Ow. I think ow. That sums it up pretty good. I think a combination of ow and walking off a cliff sums up my experience with this game pretty well. Make sure you like and subscribe. Tell Crash your favorite color is pink. And I think there's only one thing missing in this video.
See you later, gamers!
See you later, gamers.